Fellas, there's a few contenders that are ranked below 5 that I genuinely think could fight for a belt, so I'm going to be going through contenders in every weight class and specifically below ranked 5 because then it would just be the #1 contenders who I think are going to fight for a belt at some time in their UFC career. It doesn't have to be 2024, just sometime in their career. And yeah, let's go straight into it with heavyweight. I've gone Jailton Almeida. Yeah, this guy, I can definitely see him fighting for a belt. Do I see him as a future champion? I need to see more. He's only beaten Rosenstrike and Derek Lewis so far. So I need to see a lot more from Almeida, but he is the best grappler, in my opinion, the best pure grappler in the heavyweight division. There's a few others, there's Tom Aspinall, there's John Jones, Curtis Blades, but I think at least jiu-jitsu-wise, I do think Jailton Almeida is the best, and when he gets matched against someone like Cyril Gane, I think he's going to run through him. He's got a fight booked against Curtis Blades, who I think he will. I think he'll beat Curtis Blades because for some reason, whenever Curtis Blades has a big occasion fight, he always fumbles it, and when you're against a guy like Almeida who lays on you for 5 rounds and, you know, doesn't give you a chance to win, it's a dangerous fight for Curtis Blades, even though he's a good wrestler. But no, I'm going Almeida for heavyweight. Out of all the people ranked below 5, I think he's got the best chance of fighting for the belt. Like I said, don't think he's going to be a future champion, and if I was to make that decision, I need to see more from him. But he's an elite grappler, not the most interesting fighter, let's be completely honest, but he's an elite grappler. He could definitely beat a couple of these people in the top 5 as well. Like I said, Cyril Gane, I think Almeida plays with him. So yeah. Heavyweight, I've gone Jailton Almeida. Undefeated in the UFC as well, by the way. You know, he's on a streak. Call him boring, but he's getting closer to the title shot. As much as people don't want it to happen, he is getting closer to the title shot. So for heavyweight, I've gone Almeida. Light heavyweight, I've gone Khalil Roundtree. I was going to go Nikita Krylov because I do think he's quite underrated. Obviously finished Ryan Spann, and, you know, he's going to be back fighting soon as well. But I've gone Khalil Roundtree because this guy's been on a streak recently, beating people like Anthony Smith. Obviously, beat one of the greatest of all time in Chris Daukaus, and he's been on an absolute streak. He hits like a truck as well. This guy hits like an absolute truck. His strength, his judo, his power, everything about him. He's just got everything to become a champion. Well-rounded as well. Obviously, he's a great striker. Knockout artist as well. Now, I know he did have quite a stumbly start to his UFC career, losing to people like Ion Cutelaba, Johnny Walker, but these past few fights from Khalil Roundtree, he's impressed me a lot. He's only 33 as well. I looked at his face and I was expecting it to be like a near 40-year-old man, but he's only 33, which is fairly young for the light heavyweight division, or at least, you know, kind of average age. But no, Khalil Roundtree, I do think he's definitely got a chance to get a title shot, and yeah, I reckon we'll see Khalil Roundtree. I don't know if the thing is about light heavyweight, there's not that much skill when you get past top 5, so I don't know if he's going to fight for a belt, but out of everyone else who's ranked below 5, I do think he has the best shot at fighting for the belt, so I'm going Khalil Roundtree for light heavyweight. Looked impressive against Smith, and I think he could definitely finish some other. Like, imagine this guy gets Johnny Walker, like a rematch. I genuinely think he'd knock Johnny Walker out just because of the power that this guy possesses. So, light heavyweight, I've gone Roundtree. Middleweight, there's a lot in middleweight, but I've ended on Khamzat Chimaev. I was going to go Brendan Allen, but I feel like Khamzat Chimaev is the most safe kind of option you can go with. He's undefeated. He already has some pretty solid wins. They're all at, well, the Kamaru Usman one was at middleweight, but technically Usman's not really a middleweight, but he did look impressive, especially in that first round against Kamaru Usman. Obviously, he has some other wins as well. Kevin Holland, Gilbert Burns, so he's racking up a bit of a resume, but the only problem with Khamzat is, first of all, he's super inactive. The guy's not going to get a title shot if he doesn't fight. So he needs to stay way more active, and his stamina's not it as well. He's got terrible stamina, but he's only one fight away from a title shot, and with the fact that he's a fairly big star in the UFC, he's got quite, at least for the first minute of the fight, he's got quite an entertaining style, and he'll go for a scrap as well in most fights as well. So for Khamzat Chimaev, I think he's definitely got what it takes to fight for the belt, and I actually think he will be champion one day. I'm not sure if he's going to beat a guy like Dricus, but I could definitely see him becoming a champion. If they book Khamzat Chimaev versus Adesanya, I will actually be betting on well, I'm not actually going to bet, but if I had to pick, I would be picking Khamzat Chimaev to beat him, because I just, stylistically, he's a nightmare for Adesanya, especially for the first 3 rounds. Maybe when it gets later on in the fight, you know, maybe that's when you want to favour Adesanya. I'm kind of getting off track here anyway, but no, I'm going Khamzat for middleweight. I think he's got everything it takes to become a champion. He just needs to improve his stamina, and he's only one fight away from a title shot as well. Welterweight, I've gone Jack Della Maddalena. Yeah, this guy is so dangerous. He's one of the best boxers in the UFC. If you've watched this guy fight, you'll see that he's one of the best boxers. The combinations that this guy will land in on Kevin Holland was insane. He's got a fight booked against Gilbert Burns, and I'm not going to say he's going to get a title shot over a win over Burns, because, I mean, maybe he will, but I feel like there's too many people in line for a title shot in welterweight. You've got Shavkat, you've got Bilal, you've even got Ian Gary, but I would bet that Jack Della Maddalena is going to fight for a belt one day. He's got everything going for him. He's got elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Not a lot of people realise this. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is super underrated, but as a striker, he's dangerous, and if he can just... I mean, he's already well-rounded. That's the thing about JDM. It's not like he's lacking in areas. He's pretty much well-rounded. If we just see this guy, go out there and beat Gilbert Burns, we're going to be talking about maybe one fight away from a title shot. Maybe he could even be a backup for a title shot, a title fight. Who knows? But JDM, dangerous contender. If he can get past Burns, he's in talk for a title. So I'm going JDM for welterweight. Lightweight, another stacked division, but I've gone Benoit Saint Denis. Yeah, finally got the big fight against Poirier. I can't wait for that fight. Now, I don't know if he beats Poirier, because I'm not a fan of... I don't want to be one of these guys that the second a new kind of prospect or kind of new contender comes in, into the division, I instantly pick them over the already, the already experienced fighters like Poirier. Like a lot of people are doing that with Rafael Fiziev and Justin Gaethje, saying that Fiziev's going to dominate Gaethje because, he's new, younger, and everything like that. But BSD, I think he has what it takes to beat Poirier. He's dangerous. I think he's finished every single one of his fights that he's won in the UFC. He lost his debut, but since then, finished everybody. Just got an insane knockout over Matt Frivola. He's coming off a knockout win, and Poirier's coming off a knockout loss, I'm just saying. So, BSD, he has everything it takes to become a champion. He's a big star as well, and I think he's only like 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot. If he can beat Poirier and then get a win after that, he's going to be getting a title shot, and he's pretty young as well. I didn't even realise this. The guy's not even 30 yet. I don't know his exact age. I think it's late 20s, but he's not even hit 30 yet. He's got like at least 5 years in this business, in this sport. So in the next 5 years, BSD has to fight for a belt, unless he goes on like an astronomical losing streak, which I just don't see happening. I do think BSD will fight for a belt soon. So yeah, I'm going BSD ranked 12th. At featherweight, I've gone Movsar Evloev. Yeah, this is probably one of the easier takes, because everyone at featherweight has already faced Volkanovski. If you look at the top 5, pretty much everyone has faced either Volkanovski or Holloway. Movsar Evloev, he's got a fight booked against Arnold Allen this week, and if he can get past Allen, which I think he has a good chance of doing so, if he can get past Arnold Allen, because he's already well-rounded, and if he can get past Allen, I genuinely think he's going to get a title shot from there. If Volkanovski beats Rodriguez and Evloev beats Allen, there's nobody else for Volkanovski to face. They're not going to give Josh Emmett a title shot. They're not going to give Max Holloway a 4th fight. The only person we've really got is Evloev. And I wouldn't mind seeing Evloev against Volkanovski. Maybe the build-up would be a bit bland and you've not really got much to show from Evloev, but it's a new style at featherweight, because everyone else at featherweight are kind of these scrappy strikers, and I feel like Evloev's one of the few people in featherweight who he's got like a good he's got grappling that goes for him. He's a good wrestler, and I feel like he could pose a different problem to Volkanovski. Not that Volkanovski can't wrestle either. I actually think he's the best wrestler in the division, but I don't know, it just brings a new style to Volkanovski. But I do think he'll fight for a belt if he beats Allen immediately as well, which is crazy because he's ranked 9th. But yeah, I'm going Evloev for featherweight. Bantamweight, I think the safest option for bantamweight is Umar Nurmagomedov. He hasn't really beaten anyone good yet, and he keeps pulling out of fights. That's the problem with Nurmagomedov. This guy could have been ranked much higher than he already is, but he keeps pulling out of fights. But yeah, I think the safest bet for someone who's going to fight for the belt is Nurmagomedov. There's other people as well, like, Song Yadong. He's not ranked top 5, but I think Nurmagomedov is probably the best option you can go for as an elite grappler. He's I'm not going to say he's an elite striker just yet, because I feel like to call Nurmagomedov an elite striker, we actually have to see him against other elite strikers as well. But it seems like he's a decent striker. He's got good crisp boxing. He's willing to strike. He's got power in his hands. And I think maybe 1, 2, maybe not 2, but 3 fights, he could be fighting for a belt. And he's another one of those fighters who I don't just think he's going to fight for a belt. I think he could actually fully become a champion as well, and I really do think he will. Give it like 2025. If he just stops pulling out of fights, maybe gets 1 or 2 fights under his resume. 2024 fights for the belt late 2025. I could definitely see it happening. So I think the safest bet for someone who's going to fight for the belt who's ranked below 5 in bantamweight is Nurmagomedov. And then finally for flyweight, I've gone Mohammed Makayev. There's a lot of reasons for this. The first reason is that the guy's extremely young. He's got so much left in this sport, so much time left 23 years old, never lost a fight as an amateur or a professional. He's a decent grappler as well. He's striking, he's not got terrible striking, but it's not on the level of people like Moreno and Kai Kara-France and other strikers, and people like Brandon Royval, other strikers in the flyweight division. It's not on their level, but he's got a decent base of striking, and then his grappling is where he really becomes dangerous. He's got insane judo, insane wrestling, and he always pulls off a submission. He could be losing the entire fight and he'd pull off a submission like he did with Tim Elliott and like he's done in previous fights. So I definitely think Makhaev's gonna get a title shot soon. He's also kind of a big, I'm not going to say he's a big star, but he's pretty well known in the flyweight division because this guy is talking shit to pretty much everybody. He's insulting Royval, Amir Albazi. He's pretty much just insulted everybody in the division. And I think if he can get past Alex Perez, it's going to get to the point where he's going to get a #1 contender fight, especially for the fact that he's so young as well. I just think if there's one bet you can place of someone who's going to become a champion who's not ranked 5, I think Makhaev is the safest option. And yeah, he's got a lot to improve. He does have to improve his striking, and he does kind of lose the fight and then get a finish later on, so he needs to stay consistent throughout the fight, but he's got everything going for him to become a champion, or at least fight for the belt. And yeah, those are contenders ranked below 5 who I think are going to get a title shot at some point in their career. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Is there any contenders that I missed out on? But yeah, thank you for watching.